Welcome, guys. I'm going to give a couple minutes for folks to come online, say hi, and we're going to jump right into it. Hello. I appreciate you guys actually being here. That tells me one thing, that you're actually serious about moving forward, and that's completely respectable. So fantastic. I'm going to get my comments up here, and then we're going to get into it. And I always like to ask with some key questions. So let's start off with something to make you guys think. How many of you are right now healing from your toxic relationship, right? And you're finding that some days, some weeks are good weeks where you felt like you were actually finally getting it together, right? Maybe you were doing the gym thing and really being more consistent with that. You were eating clean. Were you getting decent sleep and maybe even cutting back on drinking or smoking? And then life hit you. Maybe it was stress. Maybe it was memories. Maybe it was some emotions and it all fell apart. That good week just disintegrated. How many of you suddenly feel like you're back at square one when those triggers hit? You end up finding that you're skipping workouts, grabbing takeout instead of eating the meals that you prepped, or staying up late scrolling or looking at old photos, overthinking about your ex, or leaning harder on those habits that you swore you left behind. Does that sound relatable to some of you guys? Or how many of you guys have maybe tried to heal the right way? Maybe you've cleaned up your space. Maybe you've meal prepped, or you've started journaling or tracked your habits. But by week 2, it's all collecting dust and you're left feeling like you just slipped backwards. How many of you guys have had this happen to you? Throw a 1 in the chat, because you've been putting so much energy and effort, but it's just not sticking. And it's making you feel like you are at the starting line again. So let's maybe shift a little bit. Who finally wants to hold the line when triggers hit, right? Staying no contact without slipping back into late night scrolling. No more drunk texting or rereading old messages, or really being able to hold the line so that you stop actually feeling like you're starting over. Who here wants to see the proof in your day-to-day wins, right? Waking up with a clear head, following through on your routine, and realizing you're not being pulled back anymore, right? The relationship is not running your life. You are. Let's do one more. How many of you want to build unshakable self-respect? Because every day you keep a promise to yourself, you actually stack evidence that you're the man who follows through, not the man who is stuck chasing the past. If that is what you're looking for and what you want, drop forward in the chat, because from here on out, guys, that's the only direction that actually matters. And too long, you guys have been playing the 2 steps forward, 3 steps back game. Okay, tonight we're flipping the script, and it's actually time for the every step forward game. And that is why we're here tonight. So the training is really about the forward game, how to guarantee that every step you take is a step that sticks. So for those of you that I haven't met yet, my name's Elena, and I coach men to heal from toxic relationships. I've been through one myself, and I know what it's like to keep starting over, to feel like you're making progress, and then to slide back into the same patterns. Because when I finally actually took the time to figure out what it took to break free from those patterns, I made serious leaps forward in my recovery and healing. So tonight I'm going to share with you the 2 types of actions to take to keep moving forward day after day without slipping back. And these are not like hacks or gimmicks or, this is what it actually takes to play the forward game without falling backwards, even when the triggers are assaulting you again and again. So I want to know who is ready, who is here and who is ready to actually hear these 2 types of actions. Give me action in the chat. I want to see it, because for the people that are showing up, information is not actually transformation unless you do something about it. And if you are showing me that you're ready by shooting in the chat, that means that you're actually even taking action, even in a small way. I know a lot of you guys are right now taking a lot of action in your life, but are you taking these types of actions? Right? That is going to be the difference between real healing and being stuck in a repeating loop or starting over. I try to give it to you guys very directly and not sugarcoat stuff. I'm seeing people here. David is here. He's commenting action. Brandon is here. He's commenting action. These are the folks that are serious. These are the folks that show up and do the work as well. And that's definitely what it takes to actually get the results that you want. So let's start with a little bit of thinking for a second. What is the biggest trigger that still hits you the hardest? Drop that in the chat. It is important for us to all understand that we're struggling the same way. Most of you guys are going to relate to one another. So tell all of us, what is your biggest trigger that still gets to you? Because for me, it was a particular song that came on. If I'd be driving and feeling absolutely fantastic, making progress, and then that song came on, and instantly my chest got really heavy, and that rock formed in my throat, and my mind spun back to him, and it was just like the momentum of what I had been building completely collapsed. And I drove home and sat on the couch for hours, and I was trapped in the whirlwind of emotions. So I'm going to challenge you guys to identify right now, what are triggers that still hold you back? Is it a song? Is it a place? And maybe it's a smell. Or maybe it's a notification. Too many of you guys have notifications on your phone from, hey, it reminding you of a photo from 3 years ago. And that is exactly the things that will actually trigger us to go backwards. So what are yours? Because if you don't know what they are, how the hell are you supposed to be able to adequately respond to them? Right? We've got some coming in. Intrusive dreams, that's a big one. That's a massive trigger a lot of guys struggle with. I know so many that mention that. Another one, dreams from Shane. David saying place, definitely a lot of places. A lot of places that you're driving by, that you think about, that you go through, that you associate with, 100%. Andrew says, any happy moment makes me miss how happy I was. I totally understand that, and that's something I hear so many times. It's like whenever your body is feeling that emotion again, it immediately goes back to the last person that you experienced that with. And that's such a tough one, right? It locks us back in that past moment. Memories, absolutely. Shane says trip. These are all extremely realistic. A lot of you guys are struggling with it. And I'm glad that you're growing your awareness around what those triggers are. That is key, right? So let's talk about that. Most guys think that moving on is just working harder, right? A lot of guys I'm seeing are just going all in to try to just change their life after the relationship ends. They're deleting her number. They're living at the gym, working out all the time. They're going out with the boys often. Maybe they're swearing off smoking or other substances, or dealing, trying to limit the amount of drinking. Maybe they're upgrading their clothes and electronics and really changing their style and trying to reestablish themselves. And yeah, it feels solid for a week, right? Like, I'm a new person, and then a trigger hits. And that is the real problem. That really, it's not that you're incapable, or that you're unable to heal, or that you're weak. It's none of that crap. It's that no amount of motivation can actually hold when a trigger blindsides you. So that's when the old patterns actually come back, right? And we start checking her socials and we numb out and we skip routines that kept us in place. Is anyone else tired of being in that cycle? Right? Shout done if you are ready to hear how you can combat the triggers with 2 simple actions. Shout done in the chat. I was done. I was so done. I was so done being stuck in those cycles. It was draining. It was overwhelming, and I felt very trapped, and I was very upset. So once I figured what these 2 were, I went right to work and I integrated them. Because it doesn't come really, it's not about what you do, it's about how you do it, okay? That really moves the needle of your progress. And I'm seeing some dones. People are pretty done with this crap, right? David's done, Shane's done, Andrew's done. I love it. You're like stating it for yourself when you actually put it into words. I'm done. So instead of actually trying to fix everything at once, no, we're going to actually talk about 2 types of action that protect you when the trigger hits. So action number 1, I encourage you to get a pen and paper, okay? Because we're going to be doing some homework here. We're going to actually be establishing ourselves. So number 1, anchor actions. Anchors are simple. They're repeatable moves that are actually tied to things you already do in your everyday life. So like that's making coffee, that's brushing your teeth, that's charging your phone, things that you do. These anchor actions, they do not rely on willpower. They run completely on autopilot. So when a trigger is hitting, the anchor stops you from spiraling because they hold you in the present moment. They're going to give you the stability to keep you consistent, which is what we want, even on the days that you don't feel like it. So ultimately what I want you guys to remember really is that like anchor actions, if you're going to use them, they're actually, when that random wave of pain hits you, you're not going to collapse. You don't spend the whole night in your room doom scrolling her socials or replaying the breakup in your head, because instead you've got a move already built in and it snaps you back. So you start stacking stability day after day until consistency becomes who you are with these types of actions. Now, if you don't use anchor actions within your day to stabilize yourself, every little trigger is feeling like square one. Every song that you hear, every memory that comes up, even brushing your teeth at night can knock you off track because like you don't have anything solid to lean on. So you'll feel like you're rebuilding yourself over and over instead of actually moving forward without the anchor actions. Let's talk about some examples to make this a little bit more tangible for you guys. So, for example, you make coffee every single morning, right? Let's say you're a coffee drinker. And that's a good question, Andrew, because how do you find out what your anchor is? Well, it's what you typically do in your day. So if you're a coffee drinker, if you every day do something at a certain time, let's talk about those examples. Pouring your morning coffee. If you already make that coffee in the morning every day, let's pair it with think about one thing you're proud of from yesterday. That is going to create that mental mindset shift. That's going to start your day in a more positive note, right? Keep you in a productive mindset. Plugging in your phone at night. I don't know about you guys, but I charge my phone every single night. I do that every night. So one thing that I pair it with is reflecting on one thing that I felt that I actually overcame that day. See how it's anchoring me to constantly make sure that I'm staying on track, that I'm focusing on the right things, that the things that are going to build me forward. Another one, brushing your teeth. Say one thing out loud that reminds you of what you will not go back to. If you pair that with brushing your teeth every day, I mean, I'm not sure how you can, forget how to do it because it's paired with something you do all the time. It's anchored to your everyday routine. If you start your car, if you get in your car to go to work, take one deep breath before you drive, resetting your nervous system. Stepping into the shower, visualize washing off one negative thought or memory. So I challenge you all right now to pick an anchor action that you're going to implement into your daily life. Pair it with something that you already do every day. And really, this anchor action is meant to make sure that you are staying mentally on the right path, right? So like some of the ones that I mentioned, thinking about something that makes you feel good, that you are proud of. Reflecting on something that you achieved, even if it was small. Saying something out loud to yourself about what you're not going to tolerate. These are the things that we want to constantly be reiterating to ourselves, to remind ourselves, so that when these triggers come up, we've already pre-programmed it into our day that no, we're going to focus on what actually builds us forward. So this is about transformation, right? And you need to take active steps in order to transform. So if you're serious about these, drop it in the chat. Let's make this real, not just theory. So if you can identify something in your life right now that you do and pair it with something that will actually keep you mentally focused on the right path, like some of the examples that I gave, challenge yourself to actually do it. These are the things that are going to keep you in a rhythm. Another one is, well, I already mentioned this one, but I guess start your car. That's like, who here starts their car at least once a day? I do. If you take one deep breath every time you start your car, damn, you're going to be doing a lot of deep breathing, which is going to be resetting your nervous system quite a bit. Okay, number 2. Reset actions. So we have our anchoring actions that keep us on track every day, keep us on the right path every day. But what about when the trigger actually hits? So anchors keep you steady, but the moment a trigger slams you, that's where the reset action comes in. So resets are quick. It's supposed to be an intentional move that you use the second that a trigger is assaulting you. It's, that trigger could be a thought, a song, a memory, like you guys mentioned, is trying to drag you back in the past. And instead of spiraling, you're going to cut the loop and redirect yourself. How you're going to do that, I'll give you some examples after, right? What happens if you do use them? Well, the moment that you actually get a trigger, like she texts you, or you stop, maybe you are looking back on your text, maybe she's not talking to you anymore. You're going to stop yourself. You're going to dump all your thoughts into your notes, and then you're going to delete it. You're going to walk away without regret. Or that song that used to wreck you, you're going to switch it out for a power track. And suddenly you're actually lifting your chin instead of sinking into the past. Over time, the triggers are going to lose their sting because you're training your brain to actually respond differently with these reset actions. If you're not using reset actions, the trigger is going to constantly become a landslide. Just like you're experiencing now, you're going to see someone who looks like her, and suddenly your whole day, like, energy is just gone. You're going to hear a song, you're going to be back in the breakup like it just happened yesterday. The triggers are going to control you. And before you know it, you're stuck in the same cycle that kept you stuck for months. So examples, if you're tempted to text her, contact her, email her, carrier pigeon her, type it out in your notes on an app, or write it out in a letter, and then throw that shit away. There's a painful song that comes on that's your trigger, you're going to swap it out for a powerful song that actually shifts how you feel, makes you feel good. Or if you see somebody that reminds you of her, ground yourself by picking something to notice. What are they wearing on their feet? Completely take that nervous system and put it somewhere else. Because a reset is you stop being hijacked by the past and prove to yourself that you can take back control. Andrew says, when I think of her, I can't stop. It's a loop that a lot of guys get stuck in. But in order to actually break that loop, you need to get your nervous system out of it. And the mind's going to keep spiraling. But if you actually, so maybe, Andrew, yours is more of like a physical thing that you're going to do. If you catch yourself stuck thinking about her, you're going to get up. You're going to take yourself physically out of that moment. You're going to get up. You're going to walk. I would encourage you to create a reset action that is more physical, to actually move your body so that you're almost forcing your mind to come with you. And it really comes down to also, how do I put this? Really being strict is not the right word. Being direct with yourself. To catch yourself and say, hey, we're not doing that shit. Get up, go downstairs, or walk outside, walk to the sidewalk and walk back in, and when we get back in, we're going to be doing a different activity and we're not going to be thinking about her. And if you need to continue to do that time after time after time, you're almost training your nervous system to say, we're not doing that shit. Sometimes the reset actions do need to be a bit more dynamic at the beginning to train that nervous system, because right now nervous system wants to think loop, 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 loop for hours, days, months. This type of action requires a shit ton of practice. You're not going to be perfect at it right away. But growth isn't about being perfect at all. It's actually about anticipating the things that are going to drag us down and taking action anyways. No contact is a must. 100%, Brandon. Agreed. If you have contact, the triggers are just going to be so plentiful. It's going to be so hard to implement those reset actions. And those anchoring actions are even more important when contact is actually a thing that you have to maintain. So this is why these two actions, you have to know about them. And if you're serious, you'll do them. So let me ask you guys something. How many of you guys knew some of these actions before today? How many of you guys know? I'm assuming it's most of you, right? Because anchors, resets, breathing, journaling, none of this is like a hidden secret that Elena has exposed today, right? And ultimately the problem is not knowing what to do. It's just being able to actually do it when your chest is tight, when your head is spinning, or when that trigger just hits you. That's where most men get stuck. They just can't stay consistent. And that is exactly the work that I do in V2V. I'm not just giving you the tools, I help you lock them in step by step, because that is what it takes to become the automatic. You're not thinking about it anymore. You're not restarting every time a trigger hits. And you're finally building stability toward a momentum, right? So if you're tired of not knowing what to do, or knowing what to do and never really seeing real change, send me a DM. Send me the word knowing, and I'll connect with you so we can actually figure out what's really in your way and get you crystal clear on the exact steps that you need to take, put you on a path where triggers are actually, they're not ruining your life anymore. You're running your life. And start building confidence, stability, and freedom to move forward for good. My hope is that you guys are leaving here already decided one anchor action and one reset action. Okay? And actually committing to them, because talking about it means nothing. Doing something about it, that is where real growth and change happens. So if this was valuable for you tonight, comment value for me to see who took things to the next level here. And if you're watching the replay, drop a replay so I know you got the lesson and it's stuck. I will see you guys in the next training. I appreciate you showing up, and I'm excited to hear how things have gone.